So what inspired me to start a podcast? Well, if you ever wished you could sit down and have a conversation with today's top leaders in ministry, business, entrepreneurship, well, my podcast is designed to bring that for people who lead extraordinarily well and want to become better leaders in order to develop other leaders to become better and level up in all areas of life. Welcome to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast, a podcast about becoming 1% better every day. And now your host, yours truly, Clarence Stowers. A husband, father, an author, leadership coach, and currently serving as lead pastor of Mars Hill Anywhere, turned podcast producer and lover of seeing people level up in all areas of life. I've been passionate about seeing ordinary people develop into extraordinary leaders. I've been fortunate to grow up around great leaders as a kid. I experienced my father, Clarence E. Stowers Sr., and his colleagues lead churches, associations, conventions on the local, state, and national levels. And I saw them lead with wisdom, competence, skill, and humility. Now, as an adult, I'm passionate about helping people lead well, helping people become 1% better every day. Why 1% better? Improving by 1% means getting better every day. Improving by 1% each day, compounded, leads to an annual gain of 3,800%. That's a huge difference. The Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast subsequently focuses on inspiring and equipping highly motivated and creative people to take decisive action to level up in all aspects of their lives while producing their best work. So what inspired me to start a podcast? Well, if you ever wished you could sit down and have a conversation with today's top leaders in ministry, business, entrepreneurship, well, my podcast is designed to bring that for people who lead extraordinarily well and want to become better leaders in order to develop other leaders to become better and level up in all areas of life. Look, I know what you're saying. Another leadership podcast. I know what you're saying. I'm busy. I get it. Leadership is challenging and time-consuming. Have you ever wondered how leaders think, process, and strategize? Well, that's what my podcast will bring. Backstage access into the lives of people who lead extraordinarily well. And all of this is designed to help your team do even better at leading themselves. That's my chief aim and motivation of starting a podcast. After nailing my why, the next step was to set a date, work on a list of potential ideas and guests, and a podcast name. Now, I labored over this, going backwards and forward, trying to catch a name that would capture the essence of my podcast, but ended up settling on my name because that's who my circle knows. And that's who people relate to. And I ask people, when you think about Clarence Stowers, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Leadership. All things leadership. Leadership development. Leadership pipelines. So therefore, I decided if that's what my name is associated with, then why not name it the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast? So here I am, 1 month later, presenting to you the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast. And I am excited to announce I'll be releasing this podcast bi-monthly. So what does that mean? 2 episodes per month. And I'll be talking with other regular people who, just like me, will be sharing their experience of leveling up in all aspects of their lives. This podcast is aimed at improving the way we live and lead, one action at a time. So therefore, if you like the sound of this, please subscribe to this podcast and bookmark my website, clarencestowers.com. Also, all of my links to social media are in the show notes. One final thing. Do you want to grow as a leader but don't know where to begin? Well, I'm building an online leadership resource center that will help you grow and lead with confidence. I have a few free resources for you and your team. So please visit coaching.clarencestowers.com. Also, the link will be in the show notes. Earlier this year, I released my first book, Finding Joy Despite Life's Hardships, a guide to overcoming setbacks. I've discovered living a life without mistakes is impossible. It's like watching a murder mystery movie. You know something terrible is going to happen. It's part of the story. You may not know how the story will end, but you know that quitting isn't an option. Redemption is waiting, and Scripture is filled with stories of redemption. God shows over and over that He loves us unconditionally. We all know there are tons of books out there about getting over a setback, but most of them remind us of our failures. Finding Joy Despite Life's Hardships will show you how real people use their faith in God when facing adversity, just like you and I are facing today. The book is now available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback format. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode. Lead well this week. You've been listening to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast. Join us next time for more insights on becoming 1% better each day and leveling up in all areas of life.